Hello, everybody. This is producer Sean and producer Ethan here.
I'm also here, and a producer.
Producing, sort of trainee producing.
Yeah, that's me. So the episode you're about to listen to is with the wonderful author Mark Mason, and it was recorded on site in his lovely home in Suffolk, and
it was genuinely such a lovely session, and it is heartbreaking to let you know that about a quarter of the end of this episode has been corrupted beyond rescue. I managed to get the majority of it, but it was just that last quarter was beyond repairable. So
and as big a shame as it is, we do have to reveal that the last quarter was also filled with extremely loud drill noises.
And hoovers. Because
Mark had housework being done in both the domestic and also the building shit side. So the good thing, if you can call it a good thing, is that last quarter was basically unusable anyway. But it is a wonderful chat. We're gutted that we weren't able to do all of it, but we got a lot out of what we did get. So we decided to put the episode out as is. So it's about 35 minutes of really, really, really good chat. Mark Mason is a very interesting man, very excellent dude. And to that end, it would be remiss of us not to plug all of his stuff.
Yes.
So first of all, he can be found online on Twitter, I believe, at Walk the Lines London. His books can be found basically everywhere. The ones we spoke about in sort of specific were Walk the Lines, which is where he walked the entire London Underground Overground, which is really cool. And Move Along Please, where he went from Land's End to John O'Groats by local bus. All of these books can be found in all good bookshops, and some bad ones also. He also spoke about his corporate magic stuff that he does. All of this, if you search for him online, Mark Mason, you'll be able to find this.
Genuinely such a fascinating idea as well.
Yeah, it's you'll hear about it in the app, but it is very interesting. So we encourage you to go and seek out Mark Mason's oeuvre. And we can only apologise for not having the full app, but it is a good app, we promise.
Yeah. And without further ado, we hope you enjoy what we rescued.
How did you hear about the London book? Did you see it in the shop?
I just saw it in the shop. I was like, ooh. Have a look at that.
It's a good cover. They did a really good cover.
Really good cover.
Well, you know what they say about books and covers.
You shouldn't, but you do.
It's the stupidest phrase ever. That phrase is the complete opposite of the truth.
Welcome to Shut Up and Answer the Question, the show where we take your questions and take a really bloody long time to answer them. I need to Lawrence.
And I'm Sean Antony.
This is weird, isn't it, Sean?
It is.
Because we're local, like we're next to each other, but we have a guest, but we're not on a Zoom.
Live guest.
Yeah,
this is actually, I'm genuinely excited.
This was Pod Road Trip.
Yeah, Pod Trip.
Road Pod?
Road
Pod. Road Pod sounds dirty.
Move on.
No, that's enough of that. Do you know what? That's so enough of that. I'm just going to introduce the guest.
Yes, please.
Why waste time with you and me talking bollocks?
Exactly.
Okay, so our guest, Sean, started his career as a Christmas card seller in Harrods, a touring musician and a radio programmer for the BBC, before finding his true calling as an author. This man is an expert on trivia, having written multiple books on quizzes, random information, a book of seconds even. But he is also a traveller of our beloved Britain. His two most extraordinary achievements in this field being walking the entire London Underground overground and travelling from Land's End to John O'Groats by local bus routes. You are unlikely to meet a man more knowledgeable about anything. So let's see how he does with our inane interrogations. Please welcome Mark Mason.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me, as they say, even though you're round at mine. So
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Love it both ways round. It sounds slightly indecent way to start, but still, we'll crack on.
No, it's very nice. Thank you very much for welcoming us into your home.
Absolute pleasure.
I don't think either of us predicted something like this happening when we started the pod.
No,
10 weeks ago, however long it was.
Yeah, gosh, that is it's actually the way it's been going is actually mind blowing. So
if you told me 10 weeks ago we'd be in Suffolk, I'd have slapped you.
Yeah, but you're in the bit of Suffolk that's just over the border from Essex, because you're Essex boys, and I always have to
Yes.
explain to people in London that I live in Suffolk, and they go, "Oh, Aldborough, Southwold, 3 hours away up on the coast." No, just over, about 7 miles into Suffolk from Essex here, I think, just over the border, and it's one of those parts of the world that no one knows.
and it is as we came up to your door, we were just saying how lovely it is around here as well, just aesthetically.
And also Essex, I always say to people from Essex that Essex gets a bad rap because everyone knows all the towns and white stilettos and all the cliches. But when you get into North Essex, just over the border from here, some of the villages are gorgeous. You wouldn't know if it was Essex or Suffolk.
I mean, we're Malden, so we're river based. We've got salt.
Yeah.
I mean,
what do you need? Water and salt.
Water and that's it.
The only way is Essex did a grave disservice to our county, especially considering the only way is Brentwood. Really, it's just Brentwood, isn't it?
Yeah.
And why would anyone go there?
I grew up just outside of Brentwood in Billericay.
And you escaped.
Yes,
you fled.
Yes, I
and
did.
Even Brentwood, I've got happy memories of, because many years, nearly 30 years ago, that's where I went to interview Steve Davis. And as a snooker fan, I was just beside myself with, awe that I was talking to. Well, he was still in the top 16 then. And fantastic experience until you've had 3 hours at a Brentwood hotel drinking coffee with Steve Davis doing his Alex Higgins impressions for you. You haven't lived.
Amazing.
Neither of us have lived, Sean. No. we've yet to live.
I'll put you in touch, Ethan.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you. Not to immediately crib from one of your books, but in the book where you found a fact for every postcode area in the UK. You did lament that despite being in Suffolk, you have a Colchester postcode.
I know, it just doesn't feel right. There's all those illogicalities of it's only when you stop and think that all these systems were imposed at different times. Postcodes are something to do with the post office. They're not a government thing in that sense, and so they don't match up with phone codes, and phone codes don't match up with addresses and all that sort of stuff. But yes, CO is my postcode, even though I live in Suffolk, because I'm nearer to Colchester than to Ipswich.
That's interesting. That is
I know.
interesting.
This is the danger. This is the thing. I'll play this little thing to my partner. I'll have a listen to it. You're talking about postcodes. Do you realise how tedious you sound? But actually, postcodes. I was so excited in that postcode book when I went from my final, or the furthest away postcode is obviously Shetland, which has got its own postcode, ZE. Because Zetland was an old name for Shetland. That's why it's ZE. And the way I got there was to get the ferry from Aberdeen. So there I was going from AB, postcode for Aberdeen, postcode area, from AB to ZE. I was going from alphabetically the first to the last postcode area, and I got so excited.
That is, yeah.
And then you say that sort of thing to my partner, and she goes, "So, have you ever thought about getting a life?"
It is though. It's those little. Well, it's such a short journey from
the
being,
whole alphabet.
Yeah, for the whole
well,
alphabet.
Well, you say that, sure, it's 12 hours, and it was ages since, because since the Channel Tunnel came along, none of us have needed to get ferries, which, and I hadn't been on a boat since I was a kid, and I got horrendously seasick going from Aberdeen to Shetland. I really don't have any.
Well, it's quite choppy up there as well.
The North Sea, yes.
Yeah, it's not the kindest of waters.
No.
Speaking of kind waters, I've got a question for you.
The BBC local radio segue. Well done, Ethan.
That's not even the worst one I think I've done. Some of them have been truly, truly stomach churning. But we do have a question for you.
Fire away.
Now, I couldn't very well come on a pod with Mark Mason. Again, as I said, one of the most knowledgeable men in on this fair isle. Couldn't very well come along and not ask an intensely fact-based question, right?
Of course not.
Of
You're
course.
the owner of the questions.
I would never do that. I would never make us come here an hour away and waste Mark's time with a stupid question. I wouldn't do that, would I, Sean? You know that.
You've done that, haven't you?
This question's from Lionheart.
Oh, God.
And it is this. Mark, I'm so sorry. Would you rather have a third foot or a third hand?
You've just reminded me of Peter Serafinovich's spoof chat-up line. I don't think... you're in the voiceover industry, you know Peter Serafinovich.
Oh, yes.
And I worked with him around the same time I was interviewing Steve Davis 30 years ago.
This is huge. What a big time for you.
He used to do the sketches on a Radio 5 Live programme all that time. And anyway, in fact, I'm not revealing anything salacious here, because I've heard him use this on air as well, on Radio 4 comedy show. He said his favourite chat-up line was always, when he sensed it was getting a bit intimate with a woman, there's a chance that it might progress to a physical stage. He said, I realise we're at this stage, and I just wanted to say, before we do anything, would it bother you that one of my legs is slightly longer than the other two? and when he told that on Radio 4, the audience did exactly what you've done. It takes them a second or two to get it, and then they just sort of ripples out. So you've reminded me of that. Third hand or third foot? I think, do you know what? A third hand would be very useful, because something else, thanks for the bio, where you mentioned about 17 of the things I've done to make money in my life, but I've fallen into a new one, which is doing a corporate team building thing based around magic tricks.
Oh, amazing.
Okay. So a third hand would be very useful for some sort of magic, yeah. Sleight of hand is a lot easier when you've got 50% more hands. So I think I'd probably go hand.
That's a good... Yeah, well, would you have an extra arm or an extra leg to go with it as well?
Sure, you know what you're doing? You're defining parameters.
Yeah.
You're doing it on your own now. I don't even need to coach you.
Well,
that's quite... You see, I wasn't freaked out by the image of a third hand, but the fact that you've just opened up the possibility that the third hand might come off one of the existing arms rather than have a third arm, that's weird. That's...
out of interest,
how did you meet this man, Ethan?
Well, we met over...
Dungeons and Dragons, I think was...
That's what we started doing, but we met because my good friend Amy tutored your daughter in dance.
Yes.
And we were trying to start a Dungeons and Dragons thing, and she was like, oh, Sean would be interested, and that was 8 years ago.
Okay. Does he come out with things like the hand off the same arm thing a lot?
I'm
a bit worried at this point.
I do, yeah, I have some weird... Yeah, my brain does the whole sort of tree thing with just one idea.
And that's the pod. That's the great thing about it.
And here we are.
So,
out
of interest, just because I can't get this image out of my head. When I said third hand, where was it in your mind?
I hadn't really thought about it. That's the weird thing. That's why Sean's been both spooky but also practical in sort of trying to pin it. Actually, do you know what? The correct answer, if I'm using it for magic, is you wouldn't know it was there. It would be
very good.
It would be sort of maybe off my chest, so that I could, if I was using a shirt with buttons on, so it could come out hidden. If I had a deck of cards fanned out in front of me, the third hand could come out, a bit like the alien in Alien. Could come out. Do you know that they hadn't told anyone else in that scene? Apart,
yes.
Do you know this? Have you done this before?
Such a great fact.
And when you watch it, knowing that only John Hurt obviously had to know, because and you know what the alien was?
What was it?
It was a rabbit from Sainsbury's, as in a rabbit that you would buy to eat, a skinned rabbit from.
I didn't know that.
Hang on, we should check this.
No, we can't.
Can we do live check? I know it was a rabbit.
Famously, we don't check anything.
All right, in that case.
And people listening at home, again, I know I say this nearly every episode, for the love of God, don't correct us.
And don't sue us.
Well, and don't sue us.
Just in case Ridley Scott's listening.
Hi, Ridley.
I think... It was definitely, I'm 100% sure it was a rabbit. I may have invented the Sainsbury's thing. But it was, do you know what, I am going to check this. It was definitely a rabbit, which they dressed with loads of blood and everything. And then just Hurt had on whatever prosthetics he needed to hide it. But Sigourney Weaver and all the others around him didn't know it was going to happen. And out the chest it came. And a little splatter of blood goes on Sigourney Weaver's costume. And she jumps back in genuine horror. That she's
as well you would.
As you would. So that, to take it back to the answer to the question, Ethan, sorry, this isn't a very good job interview. I think it would probably come out like the rabbit does and then do whatever it needs to do to the cards on my side of the cards without the spectators seeing them and then go back in. So it's the myth about the hand is quicker than the eye. People have so many myths about magic. And the hand is never needs to be quicker than the eye. The hand just needs to do something when no one's watching it. That's the
art of distraction.
Yeah. And very often the best tricks, you don't even need a misdirection. It's just self-working. But so for the hand to do that, I think, yes, hidden off the chest.
Hidden off the chest. I mean, that's good for what you're now doing. I mean, I had no idea you were into magic. So like, this is a whole
This
avenue.
is fantastic.
I'm squatting on that. I'm like, hold that back. Maybe not. Maybe we do it now. Let's do the magic thing now. So when did this come about?
It came about a few years ago, and my son, who's 16 now, by the time this is heard by anyone, he'll be 16 because he's 16 on Saturday.
This isn't going to come out for another 8 years.
And this, by the way, just to blow some smoke somewhere where it shouldn't go on Ethan. Ethan got me so much credibility with my son, because the reason Ethan and I were first ever in touch was he'd stumbled across a copy of my book about London, the one he's mentioned, and liked it, and then followed me on Twitter and tweeted something very kind about it. So I replied to him saying, "You've got so many brownie points with my son," because my son's a Bad Education fan and was then watching every episode 10 times a day. And so he said, "But he's on the telly." And I went, "Yeah." I said, "People on the telly are allowed to like me." It got me so many brownie points for him. So thank you very much for that. But anyway, around the time that Barney was, let's say, 5 or 6, I'd sort of taught him a couple of card tricks. I used to do card tricks when I was a kid, then forgot about it for most of my adult life. Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone back to it? Or have you...
I do it every now and then, like with family, like the kids and like my nieces and nephews and stuff like that. I'll do like the old back palm of a card, or do like the handful of tricks that I remember.
Do you know, we're going to have to get, before we finish this, Ethan, we're going to have to get a deck of cards so that we can both do card tricks for you. And the sound of you gasping. Anyways, well, you know what it's like. Your kids get to that age where you teach them things. And then I ended up doing a magic club at my son's primary school. And then
amazing.
That was fun because the next morning, living here in the village, and the primary school's just around the corner, and it was on a Monday, I think. And so on Tuesday morning, when I'm dropping him off, all the parents of the kids in Magic Club are coming up to me going, "How the is Rory doing that card trick?" Because you know what it's like. The best ones are something that you can teach a 7-year-old very quickly, and as long as they sell it in the right way, that's one of the messages. That's why it works in a corporate setting. Is that it's all about how you present yourself in life, as in magic. It's you don't need that much skill a lot of the time. It's confidence. It's front. It's literally acting. You know, I'm talking to an actor. It's just having the confidence to do it. Anyway, so the parents would come up to me and go, "How the fuck is Rory doing that? It's just blowing my mind." And I'd say, "Well, I'll tell you if you want." But some of them did want to know, some of them didn't. But then, just by coincidence, some of them would then be around here having Sunday lunch or whatever, and they go, "Do that trick," and you do it, but then you do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and I'd want them to work it out. And I realised what I loved was the process of watching people work out how the tricks are done. So that's what the sessions are. It's a team building thing where the team have to work out how the tricks are done.
That's a great plan.
Interesting.
It's really good idea,
and it's fun.
It's because I've always found that, especially with like magic and peeking behind the curtain, it opens up a different kind of enjoyment of that same subject,
because you sort of appreciate the skill rather than the fantasy. Then initially you're brought into the magic, and then suddenly you're like, "Oh no, actually the mechanics are so interesting."
They are. You say skill, and mechanics is the right word, because the mechanics sometimes, as I said before, are actually require 0 skill. Some of the best tricks are what magicians call self-working tricks, you know, self-explanatory title. You literally need no sleight of hand. You just need the confidence to say what's going to happen and to lead them on a story and to tell them that. And then they never stop to question the story. And if the story's set up in the right way, by the end of it, they're convinced that something magical has happened. And you haven't actually had to do any physically skillful stuff. So that's one of the big lessons from it.
I've been trying to find the word. It's patter, isn't it? That's what they call it. Yeah. I remembered. Go me.
And I think, you know, we could both teach Ethan some tricks that you would then be brilliant at doing because you're used to playing a part. There's an old magician's phrase which goes back decades and I think maybe even centuries, that a magician isn't a magician, he's an actor pretending to be a magician.
That's a very good quote.
And that's true of all of us. An estate agent isn't an estate agent, he's an actor pretending to be an estate agent.
It's all in the confidence.
Yeah.
If you do come up with please just choose a you're instantly going to be like, people are going to be looking at you a different way instead of just going, right, choose a card, and then you do the whole wiggling the card and you go, oh, not that one, get them laughing, and it's instantly like, well, disarms them, I suppose, doesn't it? So
one time I was at I think it was an engagement do, but it was at a restaurant in in Malden, Le Bouchon. You know Le Bouchon.
Yeah.
Shout out to Le Bouchon. Please don't sue us. Then they had a magician roaming around. And he was doing card tricks, like, doing all that sort of stuff. But he also had a little hand in the old Darren Brown fuckwitcher kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, isn't it? Fuckwitcher. And he was going to speak to my mother, and he did the whole cold reading thing and was able to work out her mother, my grandmother's name.
Yeah.
And her mind was blown. And the thing was, she knows it was a trick.
Yeah.
She absolutely knows, because, like, obviously it was. Like, he doesn't know. But damned if she could work out how it happened.
The thing is, that sort of thing is getting easier and easier to do these days. In Victorian times, the magician who was performing at the town's theatre that evening would get there early in the afternoon, and he would go to the churchyard and look at all the graves to see any recently dug graves. So he could get the name of anyone who 3 months ago had lost their husband, Bill, or whatever, so that he can use that in the show in the night. That's the Victorian version. The modern version is when you book to go and see any of, at least a magician, at least when Darren Brown does it, and he's done one of his shows where he does a séance and does the cold reading stuff, but also does it just as a trick, beyond even cold reading, where you are actually using some skill.
Yeah.
There's just a way of tricking it, which is, when you book to go and see him and to go and see the show, you've given credit card details, so they've got your address, and they find you on Facebook, and then people are posting stuff on Facebook the whole time. So at least with Darren Brown's doing it, he admits that it's a trick, but he's not telling you how he's doing it. The really terrible ones are the fake psychics, i.e. psychics.
Also known as.
And they use exactly the same thing, and you can do all the research in advance. You know that 3 weeks ago her cousin Lucy died, and so off you go, you're up and running. So yeah, it's all acting, it's all front.
It's all front. Speaking of front,
that's back to BBC Local Radio.
That's where you put your hand. Now, obviously, yeah, it would be great in a magical setting, of course, like, very useful for that sort of thing. But you've got it for life, mate. That's your day to day now. You're going to have to get a load of shirts refitted. I just wonder if you thought about the practicalities of this at all.
It's absurd, isn't it? I mean, it's almost as though it's an absurd question, isn't it?
If you had the whole extra arm, you'd have to get F shirts instead of T-shirts, wouldn't you?
Well, presumably when it's coming off the side, but then if it's no one's ever had to get a shirt in like a Z axis.
Although that would be quite handy, like especially if you're cooking or something like that. You can then hold one thing, chop, and then get the next thing already there.
Actually, forget even to take it back into the realms of reality. It would be a brilliant Dragon's Den invention, wouldn't it? Like the robotic hand that you strap to your chest, some sort of chest harness.
We can't be that far off, surely.
We need to get in touch with Evan Davis here, I think.
Is
he still doing Dragon's Den?
Oh yeah, he's still doing Dragon's Den. Right. Of course he is. I saw a video, and the details are scant. I apologise, but it was someone who had a robotic arm, like a prosthetic, and the hand had been removed from it and was on the floor. But she could still like control it using her nerves. So like, there's this hand on the floor, like clenching and unclenching.
Wow!
And she's like, like a meter or so away from it. And I was just looking at that, and I was like, oh, look, the future is here.
I mean, that on its own is something like you'd get in a spy film or something. Being able to just go,
but it's also great, literally for magic. Yeah, it'd be a brilliant invention, because there are all sorts of devices that help magicians out with things like that. Which are remote control. And these days with Wi-Fi, it's getting easier to do. And there are dice that you can buy now where you get a little code, a little thing on your leg that punches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 times, because it can read what this dice that's been rolled is covered. So there's all sorts of mechanic. There always have been mechanical, physical things that help magicians. So yeah, that could be another one of those.
It's the tech fun, I suppose, of magic, isn't it? Yeah.
Because there was a thing again. There's another thing that's just popped into my head with the sort of like reading of dice. It was an old like random number generator, because obviously with computing you can't really produce a random number.
No such thing as random. That's why iTunes had to make themselves less random.
Yes,
because they would get people think that random means evenly spaced, and it doesn't. Random can mean that the computer plays 3 ABBA songs in 4. Three out of the 4 songs will be by ABBA. And people go, "Oh, the computer really likes ABBA or something." Well, no, it's like possible orders of a deck of cards. Every time you shuffle a deck of cards and fan them out, you'll see that the 3 of the 8s are together, or that it goes Jack, Queen, King of clubs, or there'll be some pattern that you think, "Oh, you must have set that up." No, these things happen all the time. So iTunes had to make themselves less random. They had to introduce rules like don't play the same artist more than 2 times in 5 songs or something like that. So, anyway.
It's funny you said that about the deck of cards, though. Like, I think the number of times that, the number of possibilities in a deck of cards is so vast that it's possible that in the entire history of humanity and decks of cards, there has never been a deck of cards that have been shuffled the same.
I hate to sound, this is a sort of thing again that my partner just sighs.
Oh, no, please prove me wrong.
Correct him.
I hate to sound like the nerd, but I've recently done the maths on this for the use in the sessions, because it crops up in the sessions. And, very often in the corporate world, you'll be dealing with people who really love their maths, the numbers people at an organisation. So they know, it's 52 factorial is the possible number of orders of a deck of cards, which I found out at a session the other day with some young people, that this guy was an absolute maths genius. He worked with numbers for this consultancy and really knew his stuff. But he was in his 20s, and he said 52 factorial, which is 52 times 51 times 50 times 40, all the way down to 1, which is the number of possible orders of a deck of cards. Traditional mathematical notation for that is 52 exclamation mark. And he said that young mathematicians now call it 52 shriek, because shriek is young person slang for an exclamation mark itself.
Okay.
So instead of
I didn't know.
I'm telling young people about young people here. This is brilliant. You're making me feel really young. Thanks, guys.
Not that young.
You're younger than me, but that's faint praise. Yeah, that's but 52 factorial. That's the possible numbers order of a deck of cards. And yes, I'd heard that stat. Yeah. Magicians bandy it around the whole time. Gamblers bandy it around the whole time. That each time you shuffle a deck of cards, you're almost certainly achieving an order that's never been seen before. And I thought, well, we know what the number of possible orders is. It's 52 times 51, which is a number with 86 digits in it.
Jeez.
It's something. It's 86, or it's up in the 70s or 80s. It's up at that level where it's comparable to the number of atoms in the universe, all those sort of things.
A lot of zeros.
A lot of not many zeros, but lots
I wish I hadn't said anything.
There'll be lots of zeros all the way through. Yeah, but
I don't placate me. I know.
Sorry, Ethan. I've patronised someone mathematically.
I'm just not going to get involved in any further maths chat. I think.
Anyway, to assess how likely it is that order has ever been seen before, you have to come up with an estimate for how many times human beings have shuffled a deck of cards.
Of course, yes.
So how do you do that? You've got to make some suppositions. Right. That deck of cards, the one we use now with the 52 cards that we recognise, is about 500 years old. The population of the world at the moment is about 8 billion. Let's say that the population had been 8 billion for all of those 500 years, which it clearly hasn't. So already we're coming up with a massive overestimate. But let's just, for the sake of the sum, say that's what it was. If each of those 8 billion people for 500 years had a deck of cards which they'd shuffled 100 times a day, so giving themselves not much time to do other things, the chances, that gives you a number of the number of times that humans have ever shuffled a deck of cards. You then have to divide the bigger number by the smaller number. And if that was the case, the odds that this deck of cards you've just shuffled for me now, which is laid out on the table, the odds that has ever been seen before, that order, would be 1 in 50 trillion, 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 trillion.
Oh.
So basically, it has never been seen before.
Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That is, yeah. I love those kinds of
things.
But that's how, a little deck of cards that you literally hold in your hand, that opens up so many possibilities. You know?
And they're so good as well, because, well, for me, it was like the original fidget kind of thing.
Yeah.
You had something there that you could just always play about with. And it was, it's just some kind of comfort, just being able to mess around with them a bit as well. So it's,
the useful stuff for cards. You didn't even consider a third foot. I just want to say that. That's not...
Well, especially if you were doing
with Pizza Minovich.
If you did your overground sort of walking, the third foot.
Do you know what? That was. We are so linked, because I was going to go, well, if you had a third foot, that probably would have made the walk easier.
it would have made the book a lot shorter as well.
That's true. Well, I suppose
know what?
it depends where
They-
your foot is, I guess. If you've got that in your chest, that's not really helping.
Yeah, I know. Walking like a tripod. Really. No, I liked the... I don't think I'd be up to it now. I did that book when I did the walks when I was 38, 39, and I'm 53 now. And, the knees aren't what they were. And the longest day's walk for that book, for those of you that haven't found it in Waterstones like Ethan and Twittered me, it's about me walking the whole tube system overground. So walk each line, one per chapter. And the longest day's walking was on the Piccadilly line, second day on the Piccadilly line, which was the first day I'd done Cockfosters, so we could do the Eric Morecambe reference. Eric Morecambe once, this quote? Who was he saying it to? It was Dennis Norden, I think. Eric Morecambe once said to Dennis Norden, the K sound is funny. C or K is just funny. It'll always get you laughs. Kippers and Cockfosters. They're just,
So there we go.
How do we answer that? 41 years after Eric Morecambe died, I'm still saying that, and people are still laughing.
That's that monkey brain thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's just more.
It's just cut is funny. So anyway, Cockfosters stayed overnight in Hammersmith, and the second day was Hammersmith out to Heathrow, all the way around Heathrow, up to Uxbridge, and then back in on that branch of the Piccadilly line, Uxbridge down towards where I'd finished at Hammersmith to join it all up. And that second day's walking was 39.5 miles.
Bloody
It's
hell.
really annoying that the only tube station you can't walk to is Heathrow. Then it was called Heathrow Terminals 1, 2 and 3. But now it's just Heathrow's Terminal 2 and 3 because they closed Terminal 1. Anyway, transport nerd thing. But it's the one tube station on the network that you cannot walk to and go in and get on a tube. You used to have to get a bus from the perimeter of Heathrow into the station, into the tube station. And I'd emailed them and said, look, I'm doing this. It's the only one in the whole book that I'm not going to be able to walk to. Is there any way you can help me out? Can you? Because there is a tunnel that the buses go through, which has a little pedestrian railed off bit. I said, is there any way you could guide me through? I'll do it whatever time you want, whatever is easy for you. And they started to play ball, but in the end decided it was too difficult. So I couldn't do that walk. No, I had to get on the bus and get the free pedestrian bus in. For pedestrians who are outside the perimeter and want to come in. And if they'd let me do that on foot, it would have been a 40-mile day. But as it was 39.5. But anyway,
That's awful.
I think I could do with a third foot now because I don't think I could that easily do 39.5 miles in a day.
I remember
it wasn't easy then. It'd be impossible.
I remember I was really struck by the passage around Heathrow. Just simply when you were talking about how weird it was to have walked there.
Oh, it's great.
Because whenever you go to an airport, you're not walking, are you? No one's walking to an airport. Apart from this mad guy.
The only other person I knew who did it was Will Self, because Will Self did, I think, either a piece or a whole book where he walked from his house in London to New York. So he walked from, I think it's Brixton or somewhere he lives, out to Heathrow, got on his plane at Heathrow, because you can walk into Terminal 4 or 5, got on his plane to New York, and then walked from JFK into Manhattan, which would take some doing, because it's somewhere you've got to go across. No, go across one of the bridges, you'll be all right. So he's the only other person I know who's voluntarily walked to Heathrow. But it's brilliant. I really recommend going to, as I got to Hatton Cross, if I got this right, I think that's the first tube station that's up against the perimeter. That's at the eastern end of Heathrow. And then the Piccadilly line goes across the southern end, which goes Terminal 4, then round to the far side is Terminal 5. When I got to Hatton Cross, there are the plane spotters who get the tube to Hatton Cross and just cross over the road and go and stand against the perimeter fence, because depending on which runway they're using and which way they're taking off, you get a jet taking off just, however many 100 feet above you, and the roar is just deafening. It's visceral. It's like being at a really good loud concert. It's like seeing AC/DC when you're standing with your head against the speaker.
Yes. Ooh.
And
I did that.
That's why you got concussed. Again.
Well, I did it at Wembley. I saw them at Wembley 10 years ago, and I'd got a record company ticket, so I was in the bit where Prince William sits for the cup.
Well.
But do you know what? It wasn't that good because it was sort of slightly removed up on the side. I thought, no, I want to go, because a friend of mine was down on the pitch and we phoned each other, but there was no way I could get to him. But he said, it's great down here. He said he just got that. And when I watched them, we're getting sidetracked into how good AC/DC are, which I suspect I'm talking to the converted in. At most big gigs, it's the first 30 yards are just going up and down, of the crowd are going up and down all the time. I just kept looking down on the pitch, and the whole crowd were going up and down all the time. My agent was relatively near the back and just got soaked with lager and really visceral experience. But if you want to recreate that, just put some AC/DC on your pods and go and stand opposite Heathrow.
I will.
Sounds like another pod trip.
I'm keen to do that.
Or just set up the remote record and just wait for all the equipment to break.
It was brilliant. And also, I think I put this in. I don't know if you can remember that when you get further down, was at the opposite end where Terminal 5 is. That's where they were circling. They were taxiing round, about to take off. So a couple of them got to the end and did a 180, and they're about to start taking off, or start revving up to begin their takeoff. And it was just like lions. Or no, I think the thing I put in the book was it's like dinosaurs in a dinosaur zoo, and you could just hear them starting to rev, and they're about to go, and it was just fascinating. And also just what the field, which is what Heathrow is. It's a field with some very expensive tarmac on it, but the bits that are still field. It was all just beaten up sods of turf, and it just reminds you that, as you say, when you go to Heathrow normally, there are police with machine guns and all sorts of clever computers that can read your passport and all that, and it's all pristine and there's pret-a-manger and it's all. But when you're out there seeing it from the outside, just the other side of the fence, it's just a field that got lucky.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
For a given value of lucky, if you're a field.
But it was when I used to work up in London. I started just because it was fiscally advantageous for me because I was working in Temple at the time, just walking from Liverpool Street into Temple.
Great walk.
And that was it, and I enjoyed that. But then I got some other jobs, but it became a habit for me. Instead of actually getting the tube, like if it was in a roughly walkable distance, it was just so much more enjoyable.
And do it a different way every day.
Yeah. And just going to different places and finding your way. And I still do that now. When we go up for like the family visits and stuff, you go, oh, look around this way because this is a cool thing.
It gives you a different perspective of the city, doesn't it? Because like if you do the tube, then like you enter it at a certain point and then nothing happens and then you emerge somewhere else. You've got no sense of
how it all links up.
How the city's fit, and like London especially is a very odd city in that regard.
Oh, it's great. There's so much history, and I made this point in the book, and I've heard Stephen Fry make the same point. So it's not just me saying that. The reason that London is better than Paris is because it's a mixed up city with a 21st century building next to a 16th century building, next to an 18th century building, and then there's a gap where they're building something new and it's never finished. And the reason that's happened, and Stephen Fry's way of putting this, so if any French people want to get offended by this, write to him, not me.
Shout out to Stephen Fry.
He said it's because France always gives in wars, so they never get bombed. So so the middle of Paris is all beautiful, but it's all the same. It's all that 19th century houseman stuff, and it all just looks identical. So it's beautiful, but identically beautiful. Whereas London, the city at the moment, as in capital C, the square mile, the skyscrapers that are going up are just brilliant. It's a fantastic city.
I used to do some roof surveying as well for flat roofing. I've had many a job, probably more.
And unfortunately, we won't hear any more about Sean's journeys through London as he walks around it because it's gone and we can't recover it. And I can't remember what you said now.
Neither can I. So that's
a hanging Chad that will hang over the podcast for the rest of eternity.
But the thing is, you don't know if it was just the memory that's gone or if a concussion's deleted it. So
I do know there was a drill. I do remember there being a very loud drill. But thank you to Mark Mason for coming on the pod. I've been a big fan of his work for a long time, so it was so good to chat to him. And I'm glad we got what we did. All the corporate magic, all the walking to frickin' Heathrow.
That was absolutely mad.
And gutted that he didn't get his 40-mile target. But never mind. Again, Mark Mason's books can be found virtually everywhere. Start anywhere. They're all great. And his corporate magic, just search for him online. He's so good. And we are so grateful for him to have us into his home. And we're so sorry.
I'm so sorry, Mark.
Please don't sue us.
Absolutely gutted.
Please don't sue us. But yeah, that's it. I guess we roll the credits now.
Thank you for listening to Shut Up and Answer the Question. I am Sean Antony, at Sean Antony VO everywhere, and my co-host is Ethan Lawrence, Ethan D. Lawrence everywhere. If you want to follow the pod, on Instagram we are on Shut Up and Answer Pod, and on TikTok we are Shut Up Pod. If you've got a question that you'd like us to answer, send it to shutuppod@yahoo.com. That is SHUTUPPOD@yahoo.com. The music was by Eyes on Legs, and the artwork was by Kitsune Kei. Thank you very much, Podbean, for hosting our podcast, and we will see you next time.